In April 27th is that Greatest Royal Rumble. Have you been following the stuff with Rusev this week?
No, I haven't. He just texted me the other day again. He wants free supplements. He I've sent him supplements a couple of times now, and several of the guys, but they typically don't post about them, so it does me no good.
Right.
And Rusev though, I was like making the big bucks. It's like, come on, help your fucking buddy out and go purchase them off Amazon or feedmemore.com. Like how much everybody. It's the one thing with supplements. Everybody wants free supplements. Nobody. It's like the one thing that people just don't think
But
they
it's
have to buy.
expensive.
Yeah, it's
It's so
extremely
expensive.
expensive. Like sending out hundreds of dollars of stuff at a pop, and it's just like, God damn it, I left. Like I'm doing my own thing now. Like,
Yeah.
come on. Like like help a business out.
Right.
But he sent me a text on that, and I let him know. I go, you can go buy them.
Yeah, it's going to be on Amazon or you can go to feedmemore.com.
Yeah. No, so what's going on with Rusev this week?
So they announced the match was going to be Rusev versus Undertaker in a casket match
Okay.
at Greatest Royal Rumble. And then they announced Rusev had been pulled from the match and Jericho was going to be in the match. And the rumor was, well, not the rumor. TMZ had actually posted that he had said something like he was going to crush the Undertaker's old ass. And then the next day they announced Rusev had been removed from the match. So it'd been a lot of weird speculation about Rusev's status. On Instagram on Monday, he had posted "Gonna miss you, buddy" to Aiden English, and then on Monday they announced again the match is going to be it's resolved. It's going to be a casket match between Rusev and Undertaker. It's been a really weird sequence of events.
Yeah, I don't know if he's just having fun. Rusev loves to have fun. That was like this is and not that it's the same thing, but when I was doing my eat, tweet, delete, repeat little thing and just having fun and putting tweets and deleting them and pissing people off and making fun of people kind of to fit in with the whole persona with everything going on at the time. And I would just make off the cuff comments and people, it fit with what I was doing, but I wasn't being featured regularly in how I had been. And just making noise to have fun. And I think he's at that point. There's nothing worse. And this is what I've said. This is what sucks about wrestling right now, that if you're not, they don't let anything organically happen anymore. And this has been this way for some time. That Rusev has organically gotten over. And the reason why he's gotten over is from being on Total Divas and from doing his social media stuff where people have actually seen his real personality outside of the character that he just played on TV. But he already had that TV and character persona established, and he had that TV fame. So then when he has shown them who Rusev really is in real life, he's a great fucking guy. He's one of my favorite people, which I've said. So people are drawn to that charismatic personality. And so what happens with that then is they give him something that maybe isn't necessarily meant to get over. And people say, no, we like this guy. We're going to get this over. We want this guy to be used better. We want to see him featured more and whatnot, and he is featured all the time. But if you see like weird things happen, and I was at WrestleMania week at WrestleCon, and there were as many Rusev Day shirts out there as anything all week. People walking around, and when you have a guy that is doing that, and something is caught on like that, you run with it. You can't make enough merchandise for a guy like that. And what you do is then you start putting him in better positions to look better on TV so that you continue to ride that momentum. Because eventually, if you don't, what happens is typically people get defeated that their energy they're spending supporting something isn't paying off. And then it starts to dwindle down and whatnot. And as a performer, there is no worse feeling in the world than having to go out there and you actually start getting over and people embracing you and accepting you, and then being told to not acknowledge it or don't embrace it. Don't do that. You're a heel. Don't do this. Don't do that. And eventually it goes away. And then from a performer standpoint, you're defeated because you know that that's a rare opportunity that does not happen very often in wrestling. For you might only have one or two shots your entire career to have something like that happen. And when that opportunity is taken away, what else do you do now? Because you know you just had something and it was taken away. So what are you going
You
to
look at guys
do?
like
You can't go and start thinking of new ideas because even if you find another idea, it's not going to pay off. And that is one of the frustrating things that I do not like about professional wrestling today. Um, and it is a very real thing that is happening, and I think it's happening right now with Rusev. And
I
again,
mean, you look at guys like
no, go ahead. Sorry.
you look at guys like Zack Ryder or Wade Barrett. I mean, there was a
Yep.
moment in time where these guys were probably like the biggest thing going, and just the WF squandered it. It just like
Yeah.
they put them through losing or do what they could to they wanted Barrett as a heel, and it just made no sense in terms of the reaction he was getting. And the Zack Ryder. I mean,
Yep.
there was no one more over than Zack Ryder when the Rock's standing in the middle of the ring and the crowd chanting "We want Ryder." It's the most insane thing you could ever
Yeah.
imagine. The WF did nothing to capitalize on that.
And you see where he's at now, and
Yeah,
it's what it sucks. And
yeah.
that was how guys got extremely over in the years prior, and that momentum, when something caught on, you then switch business around and you start featuring that to start making as much money as possible. I believe that format does not exist anymore, and that it's well, no, these are the guys that we're going to run with right now, no matter what happens, no matter what the crowd, however they react, and we're just gonna go with this. And um, it's just I don't know why it is that way. I honestly I don't know. I'm not in the meetings. I don't know what the agenda is, what the purpose of that is. We could speculate all day long. All I could tell everybody is from a fan standpoint, you should, when you see that going on, you do not accept defeat. You chant more, you buy more merchandise for that person. You make them you have to, and it happened with Daniel Bryan. And that's the best example I could see of something that really the crowd wouldn't let that go because they love that guy so much. Unfortunately, it doesn't happen with everybody that way. I think Rusev is another case where this could be a thing where people may not let this go because you've heard different things like where they said Vince didn't think it was serious, and I I think it is. I think people like him, and I think it again. It's from his social media stuff and being on Total Divas and seeing his real personality. I think people need to make more noise than ever and not accept that and support Rusev Day more than ever because I think that will be the only chance they have to possibly rectify that and whatnot. Because you just see how big of a reaction would it have been had Rusev won WrestleMania.
I think it would have been huge.
And that's how you get to the next level. You need big wins at big moments. And he already had the momentum, and it's again they're little dings in your armor, I call them. And you can survive it for so long, but you get dinged enough, and eventually that armor starts falling off. And I don't want to see that happen with him because he's worked extremely hard. He's one of my favorite opponents, and maybe I'm a little biased on the whole thing because I am friends with him, and I've lived it myself. So and it's not a good feeling. It sucks, and it's extremely defeating. And then I've stayed positive throughout all of it, and you got to take the negatives and turn them into positives. But from a performer standpoint, there's nothing worse because it is such a rare thing. So I hope Rusev Day lives on forever.
It just seems like Dave doesn't always have a plan. I mean, they had Rusev lose at WrestleMania to Jinder,
Yeah.
but then Jinder loses a week later to Jeff Hardy. So it wasn't like, they gave Jinder the win and we're going to push him to the sky as U.S. champion. I mean, he had the title for literally a week and a day, and then Jeff Hardy won it last night.
Yeah, I wonder if that's just not done, again, speculating, but I believe they're wrestling at the Greatest Royal Rumble, Jeff Hardy and Jinder, correct?
Yeah, yes.
Is that maybe just a thing where Jinder wins it back for the Greatest Royal Rumble, you think?
It's possible. I mean, I don't know. It just seemed with Jinder. I mean, they had a big push, and then it's just been inconsistent. I don't know if that's just like you said, it could just be they wanted to have that big moment at Greatest Royal Rumble, but I don't know. I mean, Jeff's probably going to be pretty hot over there, so it's hard to say.
Well, and I've said this again, and this is a very real thing. And it was told to me, they don't want any more marquee names. So the best way to control that is by having guys lose in taking momentum away at different points and controlling it yourself, and maybe even pushing guys that the crowd isn't fully behind, and whatnot because you kind of can keep it at bay that way. And I truly believe there is something to that business model of why they, if from what they had told me, they don't want any more marquee names after John Cena. It makes sense how they book guys. And that's all, and if that's the way that it is. That's the way that it is. That's who you can't change that, like, because that's their business model, and it sucks from a wrestling standpoint, but the brand is so strong that if they want to do that way, they can. So